today, Adrienne's going to talk to me about the Harlem Renaissance.
Aaron Douglas, who was a student of Vinhold Reis, the German painter, portraitist that brought him on these projects. And he becomes the chronicler, if you will, of the Harlem Renaissance, or chronicler of African-American history. Here's a very famous mural, Aspects of Negro Life, where they're telling their story from slavery to, picking cotton, to freedom, from rural to urban, and all of that in a very much sort of Art Deco and what Rick Powell's called the Afro Deco style.
It's interesting to me that this is at the Schomburg Center at the New York Public Library, because, the show at the Met is about Juan de Pareja, Velázquez's assistant, and Arturo Schomburg, who this is named after, was this great historian from the same period who went to Spain, to Seville, to really tell the story of Black Africans in Seville who were brought to Seville and then brought all this material back to the States and created this amazing archive. This is a mural, right?
Yes. Well, yes, of course. And the Schomburg is such a great repository of the wonderful archives. Again, this notion of Africa as a source of aesthetic and not just cultural pride, an aesthetic guide really comes through in Douglas's work. But it's interesting when they say Africa, where it's still kind of nebulous. In Africa, there's still a mythology going on around Africa. Yeah. There's not a lot of understanding about the differences between the different cultures. It's beautiful, but there's still sort of a primitivist feel to this. It's also hired to illustrate sort of racist book, if you will, by Paul Morin called Magie Noire, about, primitive Black people in Haiti and New York and Paris. But he does these wonderful illustrations. This one is called Congo. So there's a kind of a push and pull of how to present, and because there's a lot of people involved in this mania for Black culture, and it still gets stereotyped in some ways. So it's a matter, everyone is sort of working through these new ideas.